Welcome to the Fantasy Flavor Podcast, where we spicing up your daily dose of fantasy football content. My name is Dylan Thomas, and I'm here with my bros, Sanatan and Trenton. How are we doing?
Doing great, as always. I'm always here. Eventually, I'm not going to be here, and it's going to throw people off. I'm just telling you now. What about you, Sanan?
I'm doing great too.
Good to hear. Yeah, I'm doing great. I guess I should say how I'm doing. No, I'm doing bad. They were just making fun of me before we recorded. Actually,
You
I'm the
know it.
worst friends ever. Yeah. What are we talking about today? I forget.
We are talking about AFC East,
Oh yeah, the AFC East,
where all the four teams suck.
potentially the weakest fantasy division out of every single NFL division.
So you mean it's not the weakest real life division?
That too, especially the
Yeah,
Pats. They suck.
yeah. Cheaters.
Right, exactly.
Oh man, we lost already four of our listeners.
And Dylan too, I think.
No,
That's
I'm
that's
just
an
soaking
upgrade.
in the jealousy, the complete jealousy
Oh,
of the six-time
oh.
Super Bowl champions, New England Patriots, Todd Brady, Rob Gronkowski. I just want to throw something out there before we begin. Do you guys know the Colts and the Ravens combined have less Super Bowls than the New England Patriots?
I'm just wondering, Sonatan, do you think
Yeah.
like about 10 years from now, when the Pats haven't won any more Super Bowls, that they're going to be like the Dallas Cowboys of old, like how the Dallas Cowboys are now, and just everyone's bragging
Maybe
about those Super Bowls
maybe the
still?
Lions. They might be the Lions. They'll suck like for years to come.
Now you guys just hating
Yeah,
now. The
yeah.
Patriots, we got our future set up. We got Brian Hoyer.
I'm I'm
No, I'm
I'm thinking more of the Browns,
kidding.
but with no
Baker.
upward trajectory at all.
Yeah, they'll find a way to cheat. Let's move on.
All right.
Man, the Patriots hate, but
Well,
I know
yeah,
we
if
already
we're
brought
talking
up the
about the
Pats.
Patriots, yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah.
Right. So who wants to start with the Pats discussion?
I think Sanatan does.
Oh
No, I
yeah,
think Dylan, you
trash
should
him,
start, man. Come on, you are a
trash him.
Patriots fan. I
Oh,
cannot do
don't
that to
don't give
you.
him the chance to. I'm kidding.
No, I
Go ahead,
cannot do
Dylan.
that to you, man. Come on, man.
All right. So as you know, they say first is the best, and the
Hmm.
best, the GOAT, is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. The GOAT, 6 rings. I mean, there's no debate. I guess the question is here, since we're a Dynasty podcast, what do we think about a Tom Brady? You know, a guy who's 41 years old. For me, I guess I'll start off first with my analysis. Tom Brady could actually be an interesting sleeper if you can get him maybe for like a third-round price, because although the quarterback position is that deep, he did get a new weapon in N'Keal Harry, who should have a little more wiggle in him than a guy like a Rob Gronkowski. So I'm interested to see what happens. He has James White and stuff there. Overall, for me, I guess buy if it's like a third. I know Sinatra will have his own price for Tom, but Tom's a little interesting if I'm a contender in Dynasty, I'll say that.
What do you think about a super flex? Because that's the only place I would want to discuss Tom's price. I'm not buying
Exactly.
him in a one quarterback league, even for a third.
Oh, I would. Normally the quarterbacks are set, but it's pretty cheap for a quarterback, though. You can get them pretty cheap, and you could get around. I don't know. I'd say pretty solid production. Wouldn't surprise me if he finished around like QB 15. So
Yeah.
So in super flex, how what would you pay for him?
For me, I'd go probably a. I don't know. I'd try to spend a late round pick. Maybe like if somebody else has him, I'm trying to trade for him. I might send like a third rounder, see if they
Super
bite on
flex?
that.
that's
Yeah,
too
No.
low.
well,
That's
I
too
mean,
low.
maybe a second in Superflex. You're right,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
in
Second is
in
good.
Superflex, really, I'm aiming for him to be like a 1 or 2 year stopgap until I find another quarterback in one of the next two drafts.
And I agree with
But
Dylan here completely that I would buy Tom Brady in Superflex for sure because he's very cheap right now.
exactly right.
Weird
It's
to have a
just
guy like that be such a value. Honestly, you know, Tom
Yeah.
Brady always been drafted high. Now he's going honestly the other way around, super super low. So
right, and
capitalize
Let's
on the value.
like I said,
let's
he's going to be one of the best Superflex like stopgap quarterbacks that you can possibly get. him and Drew Brees are going to be going extremely low compared to
No,
other quarterbacks.
Drew Brees' value is still high, man. I'm very surprised.
So high?
So yeah, very high. I've seen
For
that
no reason.
for
Wow.
no reason. So I would buy Tom Brady, and then Big Ben is going cheap. So I would
Yeah.
buy them.
Big Ben's an and Big Ben did also lose Antonio Brown. We have
That's
to see how
fine.
he comes from that, but
That's fine. In Superflex, you need
yeah,
a third quarterback, and these guys are very, very capable.
right.
So
I
let's
love Brady as my third back, or even my
let's move
second,
on.
just a stopgap guy. Yeah.
Yep,
All right.
definitely.
Well, if we're gonna move on, let's go to the running backs. Just move on to the backfield, mate. What about? They have Sony Michel, James White, and Damian Harris are all interesting options at running back. What do you guys think?
I'm very
Start with
scared
you,
of
Sanat.
Michelle, man. I'm very, very scared. What do you think, Dylan?
Michelle's kind of becoming a value. I think his value now might actually be lower than what it is come the season. So is it a guy I like? No. But I've seen him go like 5th round in some drafts, even slip into like the 6th. So interesting name, I think. I feel like people forgotten how dominant he was like in the Super Bowl run, but he's not a guy I'm really targeting. I'd rather have other guys. So if he can stay healthy, he's good.
Cool.
Yeah, and
How about Harris?
the issue with me drafting him really is the majority of leagues you play in now are PPR based, and he just doesn't catch the ball.
Agreed.
They have James White there, which is and one of the other guys we're going to talk about. And James White is the guy that's catching the ball. If you want a running back that's going to be a really good running back for your team, you want a workhorse guy. You don't want a guy that's just a 2 down back, which is the main reason I'm scared of him. I mean, sure he's going to be put up some good numbers, but it's just too risky for me, honestly.
Quick question here. Tony Michelle or Philip Lindsay?
Michelle, because I think he's going to be around in the NFL longer. Like Michelle, still first round pick, pretty. As long as he can stay healthy, I think with that draft capital invested in him with a run first offense potentially next year, higher upside too. I think better offense. I'd go Michelle,
So, wait, what was the question again?
Michelle or Lindsay, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'd go Michelle too, just because he has that clear cut role, and you also have Royce Freeman battling for touches in Denver. So, I mean, I think Lindsey's still going to be a good player for a couple of years, but they're going to end up either finding somebody else or Royce Freeman's going to step up, and it's going to be more committee based. So I think Sony Michel has locked for the future at least the 2 down role in that offense. So I think he'll be getting the majority of rushing attempts for them, which is I can't exactly say the same for Lindsey.
Okay, Damian Harris and James White. You want to touch on that?
Yeah,
I
like I said, James White is your PPR guy. He's going like I think you can get him in like the 9th, 10th round, and he's a bat. He's a guy that can come in and be your RB2 in PPR, or RB3 if you need him, if you get lucky. But he could be a fill-in RB2, and he'll put up some good numbers just because he catches the ball a lot. Like last season, he was second in targets for running backs to McCaffrey, which is crazy because McCaffrey had a ton of targets, and he was only 1 target behind him. So he's just going to get targeted a lot, and he'll catch the ball a lot. So that's why he has that upside. What do you think, Dylan?
I'm actually fading a guy like James White, I guess. I feel like his what he performed like last year, it's not repeatable. Especially from I feel like he got a lot of touchdowns. I don't feel like he got again. You'll also bring back a healthy Rex Burkhead. Bring back if Michelle's healthy, I'm hoping he'll be a better pass catcher. We saw it a little bit in college. He'll probably be improved in that regard. Let's just probably assume that, I guess, here. And Damian Harris, another solid pass catcher. I don't see him hitting what he hit this year. Even if you just remove some of the touchdowns, he's kind of a fade for me. I see him trending down this year, and I don't target players like that.
Yeah, I agree with Dylan completely here. But if you are a contender, maybe you can get him cheap, and
Right,
he is definitely.
That's the
definitely
reason
helpful.
I'm high on him. Is just that he's can be gotten so late in the draft and
Actually, it's not
can put
going
up
that
numbers.
late that we are thinking. Eighth and ninth round is still early for a guy like him.
Maybe, yeah,
Um,
I can see that. But I mean, you by that point you should already have your core set, and you're just in the eighth and ninth round. You're reaching for guys constantly. You're looking at
No, but
young guys. You're looking at stuff
wide
like
receivers,
that.
you are getting very good wide receivers there. Like Sterling Shepard. I have also seen receivers like what Lockett go in. I took him in ninth round. So
I guess it all depends on what your team setup is at that
yeah,
point. Like if you need running back help, he'd be a good value.
yeah.
But if you're looking for just a like best available young players, you might go with one of those guys. I mean, it depends on what your layout is.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Talking about values, let's talk about Edelman.
You
What
think
do you think
Edelman's
of?
of value? I
Yeah.
mean, guess in Dynasty, I did get him for Ronald Jones. I think
Yeah.
that's a value. If you can make that trade, I don't know about you guys, but I'd say yes to that all day. Edelman's
You
a guy who could put up wide receiver one numbers for you potentially.
uh
As long as you're contending, I think he's a good value. But the issue is how long is he going to be in the league? How will he perform once Brady leaves?
he'll be
Just
there for 2 years, man. Come on. He just signed an extension.
I'll give him 2 years.
Yeah.
But will Brady be there for 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, maybe not. We'll have to see. I don't know. I'm not sold on it. But what's like Brady's already starting to regress. I mean, he's still putting up some great numbers, but you can see in his game starting to regress a little bit. And it's just how long he can keep it up. With the other side, you may be giving up a young player to get a guy who may just have like 3 or 4 good
Okay.
seasons left in him, and then he's
Okay.
gone.
Let's not talk about player. What pick would you give for him? Like a second rounder, a third rounder? What would you give for Edelman?
Late second, early third, if somebody would take that.
No one is taking that. I will give up early second for him. For
Yeah,
sure.
that's just
Woo!
my value.
Yeah. Because
I mean, if you're
if you are a
contending, he's
contender.
worth that. He's
Yeah,
worth
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm talking about contenders only
Well, yeah,
right
if you're a
here.
contender, maybe like yeah, because then if you're
You
planning to be a contender and you're going to give your second, there's a good chance it's going to be a late second anyway.
no,
So,
but I will give early second if anyone else's pick if I have to.
right.
And whenever I play, I'm always a contender. So
But
Oh,
if you're
humble
looking to
flex there.
rebuild, he's not really option you're wanting to look at.
it's
But
true.
speaking of an option you want to look at if you want to rebuild, since if it's okay if I move on here to N'Keal Harry, a guy I
Yes.
love, what I'm going to say is my thoughts on N'Keal Harry. I want to plug our other podcast episode where all three of us talked about the rookie wide receivers and tight ends. I'm not going to say much about why I love Harry so much, but I think he's arguably the 101 in this draft, maybe one of the best talents in this draft, someone I'm going out and buying at the price is right. I especially find here, and oddly enough, for a guy that could be your 101 in a startup draft, dynasty startup drafts, he's going in like the 7th and 8th round for a guy that could be in some leagues the dynasty 101 in rookie drafts. So I think he's a great value in startup leagues right now.
Yeah, I got him in seventh, and people have really cooled down on him recently. What's your
Yeah,
Makes no
take on that?
sense.
yeah, it's honestly the thing really scaring me away from Harry, and I thought about it more and more recently, is that this draft class, we were all heading into it. Everybody was looking at it. All the fans, everybody's like, "Wow, this is going to be a really deep wide receiver class. It's going to be really good all the way." A lot of them are going to go early. A lot of them are going to go mid rounds. And then we only had 2 wide receivers taken late in the first. And we had like all the guys we thought were going to go high drop. So we as fans must have missed something, and the scouts caught it. So I don't know. Maybe all these wide receivers aren't really as good as we all think they are. And that's
Um,
why I'm fading rookie wide receivers, honestly. Most of them I'm fading unless I can get them at a really, really good value. But at this point, I'm fading all of them.
that's fair to fade rookie wide receivers, but to bring up your point, I think N'Keal Harry's kind of the exception from what you just said, because Harry was kind of a consensus day 2 pick who went day 1, granted 32nd overall, and he went to a good situation. Keep in mind, he was arguably one of the pre-draft 101 candidates, aside A.J. Brown, maybe you're a Hakeem Bustler truther. I brought it out. Yes, I said it. So overall, I think his value actually went up from pre-draft kind of thought processes. It was just the fact that all these running backs got good landing spots and solid draft capital.
For sure. It's just the scout. There has to be something we don't know about this class. We're not seeing something that the scouts saw, and it's kind of scaring me off. And I know it's probably going to be scaring a lot of other people off too. I just wanted to put a voice behind it and get it out there.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna move on to the Jets here, if that's okay.
No,
Unless
do you have
Ananta had
any
something to say.
do you have any sleepers for New England? Because I think Philip Dorsett can be a good sleeper.
Braxton Berrios is mine.
Various?
Yep.
Okay.
Sleepers for me. Whoever their starting tight end is going to be. I don't know. It may take until training camp to figure it out, but whoever their starting tight end is, Brady targets his tight ends a lot. So that's an interesting option for me. It's just who is it going to be? We don't know
Yeah.
yet.
Ben Watson, Matt LaCrosse, some names there, some guys who could potentially break out, but and soar off into the sky, similarly to a jet, perhaps a New York Jet. Let's talk about some Jets. Are we down?
That
Yeah,
was
sure.
cheesy, but let's go ahead.
Cheese is my middle name, folks. I think Dylan Cheese Thomas. No, I'm kidding.
Discount double
that-
check?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, oh man. Someone want to start us off here with the redhead quarterback for the New York Jets? Oh, I can do it, but I just want to see if someone wants to have some thoughts on Sam Darnold.
Denton, you want to do it?
Oh, Sam Darnold. Oh, I don't like him. I'm just be honest. I don't like him. I mean, maybe if you can. I honestly, I could see him being just riding the waiver wire because I mean he's a young quarterback, but who does he have to throw to? I mean that could change, but as of right now, who does he have to throw to? He doesn't have receiving weapons. It's just they have Le'Veon Bell, who's going to get a lot of carries. He's going to get like 300 plus carries. He'll catch the ball some, but they got the guy who's going to be their bell cow, and I just think they're going to be one of the teams that passes the least in the league, just because they don't have the weapons to stack up.
The weapons, I think, are upgraded, though. I definitely think they're upgraded. Le'Veon Bell is a huge addition. I don't know. A player that can move the chains. The offensive line slightly improved, maybe needs more improvement. I'll talk about that when we talk about Lev Bell. Personally, Robbie Anderson's back. They started to get a rapport. Quincy Enunwa, hopefully healthy. Chris Herndon, maybe suspended. Maybe once he's on the field, he's solid. Jamison Crowder. I mean, they have a lot of names there that are ifs. So if they could do that, Sam Darnold really could be, in my opinion, the next special quarterback in the league.
I don't know about special, but I like him. I mean, I just don't like his situation because of Adam Gase. But let's see what happens. I mean, if I get a chance, I will buy him in Dynasty. Cheap though.
I want to drop a hot take here. I'd rather
Yeah.
have Sam Darnold at his price than Baker Mayfield at his price for the rest of their careers. I guess I'm also considering that, but
Like, yeah, because you talked about price, so that's
yeah, but
If
you're
you
Mr.
if you
Big.
didn't say price, I mean that'd be like
that would be a hot take.
yeah, but since you're talking about price, yeah, ADP is just something that's
Way-
really, really important, and it's
Yeah.
underrated by a lot of people.
Yeah, because
Alright.
you might be one of those guys who is a late round quarterback kind of guy. So obviously you would not take Baker because he's going so high nowadays.
All right, fine, I'll say it. Sam Darnold will have the better NFL career compared to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's a
And
hot
there it
take
is.
and a stupid take at that.
The whole world
Man,
is exploding.
man, he has such good weapons, man, Baker, and he's a better talent too. I just don't think he will have a better career, but I don't think they will have such a wide gap like people are thinking. I like Darnold. He's a good quarterback. Once he gets a good coach and maybe a couple of good receivers next year, he will be good. I'll buy him.
Baker Mayfield needs to get his hand and face out of his junk and needs to focus on coaching up his team right. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah,
But
we
I
can
like
talk about
Baker.
him when we talk about AFC North. Let's
Yeah,
move on
I
to
want to
the
move on.
receivers,
I
man.
agree.
Yeah.
Receivers, or do you want to do backs first? Or
Backs,
call?
backs. Yeah, the only one back. Yeah, but
Well, I'm going to kick it back to you. Start us off here with who we want to talk about.
yeah, Le'Veon Bell. Um, I mean, looking at his price, he's going in the first round, man. I just don't think I can give. I mean, I'll buy at that price. It's just a unknown. Uh, he's a unknown commodity right now. If you see, he did not play for a year, and then the Pittsburgh offensive line has a lot to do with his style of running and the success he got because he's a patient runner. And when you are a patient runner, you need the offensive line to go ahead and block for you and create holes. I don't know if Jets' offensive line is that good. The other thing is Adam Gase doesn't, target his running backs a lot like like the Steelers do. So I'm a bit worried. I would not take him in a dynasty startup. I would not take him before third round, early third round maybe.
I think that's kind of bold. I was going to say I'd take him early second. And I'm actually a little intrigued in Dynasty leagues. Not because I don't know how he performed year one. I feel like his touches could net him kind of a David Johnson-esque year of around an RB12, which isn't bad considering he's going like RB8 sometimes. So if
Yeah.
that's like your worst case, then that's not bad, honestly. If he stays healthy, it's not a bad floor. But once I think that line improves next year's, hopefully through the offseason next year, could be interesting.
So
Definitely an older running back,
when you
but
say
I'd
early
like it.
second, sorry, when you say early second,
Hello?
like hello,
Hi,
can
can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me? Yeah, you broke
Yeah.
up. Go on.
Oh, sorry. So when you said early second, I wanted to know, I compare them with a couple of running backs that are going in early second. For example, Dalvin Cook, James Conner, Nick Chubb. Would you rather have Bell over these three?
Bell over Connor.
And Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook?
Oh, Cook, I'm like RB5 on. Chubb, they're close. Like, if you're actually like contending this year, like a perennial stud, and just want them like in a vacuum to who's going to win you the league this year, I like Bell more because he'll put off the playoff numbers, but I'd probably be taking Chubb.
Yeah, but Chubb is going mid second and Dalvin Cook is going early second. So taking Le'Veon over them is just when you said you are going to take Bell in early second, I just did not agree with that. That's why took their names to see what comparisons you have. So
Oh,
I
to
think
clear,
yeah,
he's my RB9 right now in Dynasty. So
yeah,
that's early second where I take running backs because I take running backs early. To clarify,
okay,
I fade most of the wide receivers except if you're
oh,
Juju, Adams, or Hopkins.
okay.
Cool?
Any comments you have, Trenton?
In
Yeah.
redraft, I'm gonna make a bold thing here. In redraft, Le'Veon Bell is my RB5.
Okay, in Dynasty.
In Dynasty, he's like RB7, RB8. But
Okay.
he's it's just the fact that he's the guy in New York. They don't have anybody else. I mean they have like a few other guys that could put up numbers here and there, but he is the workhorse back. They're not going to really have anybody else challenge him. He's going to catch the ball a ton. It's just he's going to put up some really good points, and he's being undervalued in my opinion.
Okay, so we have all different opinions. That's great. Let's move on
Hey,
to the wide receivers.
definitely. I'll start us off if that's okay. I'm really interested to see what we think about a guy like Robbie Anderson. Because Robbie Anderson, we've seen it with a couple different quarterbacks, so he's kind of broken out almost. I think he almost had 1,000 yards 1 year, and then like good old guy Josh McCown, you know, was no longer starting as quarterback, so that kind of hype train paused there. But Robbie Anderson, a guy that is a free agent next year, I believe. Does he stay? Does he go? I think he might go
I
because they
say,
didn't sign him to a
do
long
I
deal.
go?
But music in the background of our lovely Trenton Roberts here, who, by the way, I don't want to get off topic, but he didn't support his own fellow Trenton Cannon, when we're talking about the running backs. Trenton to Trenton, there's no loyalty there. But back to Anderson. Robbie Anderson, I'm going to buy him. And Angelo, who was a guest here on the pod, also agrees with that. So check out that episode too if you want to hear more about why you should buy Robbie Anderson.
What would you pay for him?
First, 2019 first, mid to late. I don't think anyone would take it, but that's what I do.
Okay, not 2020.
I'm not
Late.
touching my 2020 picks
Oh, in
because the hype was
2020,
too high.
no. I'm not in 2020. I'm trying not to sell any of my 2020 picks.
No, I'm
Okay.
hoarding on like a hoarder.
And in a
If he-
startup, where would you draft him? Which round?
Depends on who's on the board.
Exactly. It
Okay.
always depends on who's on the board. You never
No,
know.
I
Sorry
agree,
to
but
never
burst
know
your
where it
bubble,
lands.
bro.
where would you be
But
comfortable? Like seventh, eighth, ninth?
7th, 8th, in between there, probably early
right,
8th.
Okay.
It's
I
like
agree
Kristen
with that.
Kirk or Robbie Anderson. Which one would you rather have? That's a question I feel like people may come up with.
Good.
So.
That's a great question, man. I would have Kirk.
Kirk,
Yeah, I'd have
yeah.
Kirk.
I tweeted about Kirk recently on my Twitter about how much
Oh,
I
I
like
thought
him.
I
Another
liked him
cold
last year a
take.
lot too.
Yeah. He actually broke out a little bit last year. I think
Yeah.
Kristen Kirk could have more fantasy points than the rest of the Cardinals wide receivers combined. And that, like,
No.
oh yeah, buy
No,
yourself some
I don't think
Kristen
so.
Kirk.
Because they will have a lot of four wide receiver sets.
That's why it's
And
bold, bro.
oh yeah, I agree. Okay. What I feel about Robbie Anderson is that he is one of those wide receivers. Like there are a group of wide receivers who just you know just break out in the second half of the NFL. So NFL season, like what's that Chargers guy, Keenan Allen, Robbie Anderson. These people just breaks out in the second half every year. I have noticed. So maybe you can buy Robbie Anderson cheap after the first half of 2019 season. Just a weird take. I will not call it a bold take. Weird take. But I like him. I'm just not very sure if I like him or not like him. I just he's a very ambiguous player. If I
Oh,
get a good deal, I'll buy him.
Yeah, he's just always been that guy. He's never really broken out. He's never really totally underperformed. He's just
Yeah,
always kind of mediocre, and
yeah.
it's
And
been disappointing to a lot of fantasy owners. But the
agreed.
thing is, I mean, he has always is going to have that sky high upside. It's one just takes one season for him to blow up, and I don't know.
And
It's
as Dylan
bound to
said that
happen.
he would came like around seventh, eighth. I think Lockett is going there. I would rather have Lockett than Robbie Anderson.
Lockett's
I
pretty solid.
I've
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
He's
starting to kind of not like Lockett as much.
Attaboy.
really.
Attaboy.
I mean, he's just I
Speak it into existence.
I still like him, but it's just
I like him a lot,
he
actually.
struggles as when he was put in the wide receiver one role for a few games, he really struggled. And I
I
think they grabbed Metcalf more to like be that guy that could eventually take over. And Metcalf's really performed well apparently in camps. He's done, and they also have other options at wide receiver. And it's just I think he ends up being more in the role of what he was a couple years ago, and when he just is catching the ball like I don't
I
know, maybe 50 receptions. He goes a lot, like maybe 750, 800 yards, but like maybe 3 touchdowns.
I don't think we should discuss Lockett right now. We'll get
Right.
back to NFC West later.
Right.
But
All
I
right.
If you
just
guys want to hear about Lockett, leave it down in the comment section, and we'll try to do that breakdown earlier, though. I'll say that.
I'll anyways do that because me and Trenton have different takes. So we'll have when we come to NFC West, we'll talk about him.
A sparring fest where it's not a beat up on Dylan segment. Chris Herndon, I want to hear your thoughts about him, Sonata.
I don't know, man. I was very I'm not very high on him. I really liked him until they signed Crowder, and now I'm a bit torn because I think Crowder and Herndon have similar roles. Looks like earlier I thought he will get some receptions too, but now I'm scared that he'll just be a touchdown dependent guy. So I'm getting lower on him. I would try to sell him if someone is interested.
Yeah, Herndon is he has that like we always talk about. We talked about it with Anderson. He has that sky high upside, but it's always the if factor. And he's also has those concerns about off-field concerns. Will he be there consistently enough? And it's just it's a big question mark for me. I mean, I might like try to take a late round flyer on him, but he's not going to go that late.
Any
Definitely.
sleepers?
Sleepers from Jets?
Yeah. That's a great
Quincy
question, man.
Enunwa could be, how do I call it, post-hype sleeper? You know, like those guys that are supposed to break out this year, but they go like a year late, like late bloomer. Quincy Enunwa was killing it, and then he just can't stay healthy. So if he can stay healthy, he can legit put up good numbers. But
No,
I wonder where he fits in that wide receiver rotation.
Or wait,
So-
are we talking about Enunwa or are we talking about
Sleepers, right? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, Inunwa. Yeah, so Inunwa,
Yeah.
he was killing it when he was in the slot. And now I think Crowder is in the slot. So I think
I th-
Crowder is a good value.
I thought we were still on Herndon, and I
Do you have
No, no.
just
anything
wanted
to
to get
say
an
about
update.
Herndon?
But that what I just said was meant for Herndon. It wasn't about Enunwa.
No,
Oh,
we are talking about Herndon. Now
Yeah,
we
we
are
were.
talking about Inunwa.
Okay, done. I'm just lost now. All right, let's.
Yeah, I didn't get to say
Alright.
anything about Herndon, but I mean, he's just kind of one of those guys that I'm interested in as a late round tight end. But I'd rather have like Austin Hooper over him, so I don't draft him.
Agreed.
I just wanted to say that.
Totally agreed.
Do you have a sleeper for us, T-Dog?
Not on that team, no. It's just there's too little depth. There isn't really enough to go on.
My sleeper is Crowder, as I said earlier, that is because of the slot role, and I think Darnold really likes the slot guys.
I mean, Juju was a slot guy, and he liked him in college. I still can't believe Trenton isn't hyping up his man, Trenton Cannon. I mean, how many Trentons
my
are in
God.
the NFL? Just saying, if there's a guy named Dylan in the NFL, I'd be his Pete Carroll. I'd be his Miami beat reporter. It's just saying, I'm hyping him up all day. Do we want to move on here to Miami, though, speaking of it?
Yes. Now Trenton will
Alright.
get excited.
Oh yeah.
Oh, his man crush is coming up, but somebody else's man crush is coming up here first. Fitzmagic, and Josh Rosen. What do we think about this mess of the quarterback position? Because I don't really know how to think about it. I'm curious of your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I am with you, man. I just don't want any one of those.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzmagic is getting up there in age. He's always been that guy. He'll perform for a few games and then disappear. You got Rosen, the young guy, but we haven't seen anything good about him. So it's just I'm staying away from that quarterback position for now. Maybe I could grab in one of the first few weeks grab Fitzmagic off the waiver wire, get a couple good starts out of him, but it's just I'm trying to stay away from that group at all costs.
Hey, that group's gonna get first place and leading that offense to the worst offense in the NFL next year. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep, let's move on, man. It's just not worth it to talk
Not
about that.
worth it. Josh Rosen ain't worth our time, man. He's an
Yeah.
interesting buy in
Oh yeah.
Superflex, though. I'd buy him late just for future potential. But he's seriously about to leave Miami to the first overall pick.
I
This
would
guy,
rather buy that guy, Giants quarterback, than
Daniel
Josh Rosen.
Jones. Oh,
Yeah.
don't get trying on Daniel Jones. Oh my, his
Okay.
eyebrows just raised up.
How did you
Move on
know?
fast. Come on,
You're
Trenton.
talking
We are
about a
talking
guy.
about Drake.
Yeah, he's even more excited now.
Oh,
Take it away.
nah. You speaking of Drake, what's to say that I haven't already said? I'm really high on him for this season. He's going to catch a lot of passes. He's going to be a guy. He'll be a top 20 fantasy back for you. He'll be even next year if they get a new back. He'll be a receiving back option. It'll be like more of a James White to a Sony Michel kind of thing, I think. And he'll be that receiving back that's going to catch a lot of passes and get points that way. And that's just what I see from him. And I know, Dylan, that you see the exact opposite, so I'll pass it on for you to talk real quick.
Yeah. What I want to say about Kenyon Drake is go check out my video where we talk about the smashes or passes because I really want you guys to check out the content. I'm not high on Drake. I'm kind of meh on Drake. Remember when Sinathan was talking about he's kind of meh on some other players here earlier that we've talked about. I forget the exact name, but that's kind of how I feel like how he described it. A guy I'm more interested in though is Kalen Balaj. Could be a really nice target if you're going RB0. In my opinion, he has massive upside, some nice hands, workhorse size, will runs with the blindfold on. I'm Sanatan, what do you think of this backfield? Because I'm still really just it's like it hurts my brain, man.
Yeah, so I don't like Balaj very much. And about Drake, I think he's going in a fair value. I'm not that high like Trenton is, but I think he's going on in a fair value, and I would buy him. At least if I am a contender for sure, I would try to buy him because he's going cheap in a already started a dynasty league, not in a startup, but which is already running. He can be had for a second round, I think. I would definitely try to buy him there. Otherwise, I just am not interested in Balaj at all.
I think he'd have to go a little higher though. Like if I could get him for a second, I would, but I don't know. I don't think no one's selling him for that. I mean, maybe if they're low on it, but
Early
I
second.
think it'd cost the
I'm talking
first.
about
I
early
think it'd
second.
cost the first, honestly, in 2019 with how everyone's so low on it. I
Mhm.
mean, Derrick Henry's a guy that's close to his ADP, and I think Derrick Henry would take a first plus. So,
Yeah, Drake's value has gone up right now because 2 months earlier, sorry, 1.5 months earlier, I could have had him for a 2.04 2019 rookie draft, rookie pick. So that was a great value. But I did not buy him, unfortunately. I was stupid.
no, you're not stupid. You're awesome.
It's just I don't see what you've been seeing in Ballage at all, Dylan, and I don't think he'll be come in and be that guy that'll take over a lot of the touches. I think Drake is going to get a majority of touches this season for the team, and he'll get continue to get touches next season, even if they bring in someone new. And I
But next
might
season he's free agent, man. Are you sure he will be signed again?
if
Given
he
the
goes somewhere
2020.
else, he's going to go to a team that needs a running back anyway. So, I mean, if he is a free agent, there is a good chance that he goes to a better situation anyway.
But you are saying that 2020 class is such great. They have at least 10 good running backs. Why would teams, pay Drake and not um, get rookie running backs?
Why would New England keep paying James White? Because teams in this day and age love receiving backs. That's what this game is translating to, backs that can catch the ball. you have guys. Sure, you like you said, you have 10 guys in this draft that can come in and start and be big contributors right away.
Hmm.
But I think only like 4 or 5 of those guys are going to be true 3 down backs. You'll have a few of them are going to be really pass catching specialists. You're going to have a few of those guys that are come in and be 2 down grinders. There's still going to be plenty of suitors for Drake if he isn't re-signed because that really, really, really top tier pass catching back, and that's what's needed in today's game.
Okay. Okay, great. That was a great discussion. I think we should move on to the tight end, which is Mike Gesicki.
Oh wait, before you go to tight ends, let's just say please don't buy any of those wide receivers on the Dolphins.
We'll talk about them in sleepers, man.
All right,
Maybe we should talk about a couple of them. But let's move to the
all
tight
right,
end
we
right
can do
now.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we all can kind of agree there's no wide receiver we're really excited about. There's always going to be potential, but they'd be more sleepers to us than names that we think are notable. But Mike Gesicki, a notable name, someone I sold. I'm going to start it off here if that's okay. Because
Yes.
I sold him and I packaged a couple of other players for a guy like JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I tried to get him for a second in 2020, 2019, couldn't do it in any of them. So I think if you're selling, you'd have to do it for a third. So you're probably just holding them unless you can move them in a package. I always like referring to previous interviews because it's where I learned stuff. And Drew Osenchuk, my first ever one-on-one interview, we talked about how Mike Gesicki's going to be a bust. He just had such an awful rookie season that nobody's ever performed that bad and succeeded in the NFL. So I want to kick it off to you, Trent, and I want to know your thoughts on this tight end. Is he a sleeper or is it someone you're fading?
I'm not fading him. He's also not a sleeper for me. I think he's more of a waiver wire option throughout the season. Could maybe have some good weeks in good situations, but it's just, I mean, he had all that talent coming in. He still has it. He just needs to put it all together. So I think he'll be a good waiver wire option. Maybe grab him off the waivers late in this season if he starts performing. But until then, I'm not drafting him, but I'm also not low on him enough to where I think he's a bust already.
I I I am actually going to buy him because I think Miami is trying to put up New England's offense there, and he's a young guy. And what if they put New England's offense there, then the tight end is going to be really useful. That's why I'm going to buy him for early third if I could.
I mean, yeah, maybe I could see that for an early third.
Yeah.
That's
I'd,
I
I'd do
might
that.
even do late third if I don't even know if like because personally if I was selling him I would be looking for
A second.
hopefully a third, a high third or a late second, but probably the best offer I'd get would be a late third.
Yeah,
Okay,
his
Trenton.
value's too low to sell.
Whenever you talk about value, you should always talk about if you are selling him, because buying him you want everyone for nickels. You just don't want to pay.
I'm
So
not
I
buying or selling though. I mean, if he's already on my roster from last season, I'll
yeah,
hold on to him, see where it goes. If he's
exactly.
not on my roster, I'm not going to look at him. It's just he's one of those guys that's going to be a stash guy on your roster who'll just be sitting there and it's
But
just wait it out and see.
I will take my chance for a early third. Um, any sleepers here? Because I think Albert Wilson can be a good sleeper. Because again, someone is talking about, I have seen experts talking about how if they implement New England's offense, then Wilson could be someone like Edelman there. Not quite Edelman, but in that same vein. So I would
Maybe,
buy Wilson.
maybe it's just the issue with that, from what I've seen, is
Hmm?
let me pull up the depth chart. What it says right now. Yeah, right now he's there like wide receiver 4 or 5,
How come?
and
There are only two
it's
wide receivers there, Parker, Stills, and Wilson. Who else is there?
They have above him right now on the depth chart that I'm looking at is Bryce Butler and
Who?
Jakeem Grant.
Oh no,
Who?
because he's injured. That's why. Once
Yeah.
he comes back for practice, he's not wide receiver 4 or 5. Those guys, Jakeem Grant and what's the other guy, Bryce Butler, they are not taking his job.
Yeah,
I
but
don't even know who they are.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen anything from Wilson either.
Wilson showed more and he got injured. That's what happened.
yeah.
Wilson
He
was
was a
solid
great
last year.
yards
He was
after catch
solid
guy.
when what wasn't it both Parker and Stills were out. He was like their only
No,
guy.
no, no, that's
No.
not true.
No, it was early in the season, so I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Maybe one of
Parker
them
was
was
not
out.
out last year. He played a lot of games
And sucked.
and sucked. Yes.
Remember, he's
It's
next. AJ Green guys is coming.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he'll perform. Maybe he'll be like a deep sleeper. But as of right now, I'm not selling him. I'm not buying him. I'm just like it's a wait and see type thing for me.
That's a guy I'd buy for a third, though. And that's something I feel like people would actually move him for.
Yeah.
I'd sell him
I
for.
can see that.
I'd aim for like a second. Because I always try to sell high. Because there's actually hype around this guy. So I feel like he can sell higher than what I'd buy for. But that's
Yeah.
where I stand with him. Any other sleepers before I
Nope.
want to move on here to the Bills?
Of course,
Let's
there's
move.
always Devontae Parker, guy who hasn't broken out, and nobody knows if he will break out, but he has so much potential to break out. I mean, he's a guy that's interesting, but I don't know. He hasn't broken out yet. Will he ever? And if he does though, I mean, it could be huge. He has all that talent,
if if you are getting him cheap, I would buy him too because he got a two
right?
year extension, like very cheap, late third
Like
or
if you
even
have a
early third.
four-round rookie draft, I'd maybe throw a fourth at him.
No one's going to
Maybe
do
No.
that, dude.
Yeah,
maybe an
Come
exactly.
early
on.
fourth, late third. I don't know.
Nobody's even going to do a late third. It's dumb to sell Parker. You ride him out now. Just like no
Yeah.
one's taking that. If someone's taking that, you do it. That's like
But
saying
the thing is, maybe if that guy, he's had him for a few years, he's sick of the inconsistencies and like of just having Parker on the roster. He just wants to get rid of him. Maybe he'd do it. I don't know. It depends on who your league mates are, what they are willing to do. I don't know.
Let's move on, man. This is just
Right.
yeah.
not
I mean,
worth it.
interesting names there. Someone will produce. But speaking of producing, someone's going to produce in a big way, and it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I think, is the next Cam Newton personally. So
Yeah.
I could see that. He has a really talented arm. Like he has really good arm. He has good legs. It's the question is the talent around him. I mean, it's gotten better, but it's still a big question mark. And I mean, I love buying him. He is my late round buy. He is my guy that I'm targeting. If I still need a quarterback late, he's my guy. But it's how well offense will develop around him. But I love Josh Allen just because he has that baseline floor from his rushing totals. And I think he could push for quarterback one status this season
Yeah.
and for the foreseeable future.
Agreed.
Josh Allen's trending up in his ADP. I looked it up. Right now he's going in the 12th round. Great value. I'd do that. If he can
Yeah.
stay healthy. And he was injured last year with a shoulder injury. If he can, like, people talk about how Lamar Jackson might get injured. Josh Allen got injured running a lot. So if he can stay healthy, the upside's there, definitely. He has a big enough arm. The weapons are still kind of meh, but they added some veteran savvy guys who could potentially just give him enough to be viable in the passing game. So I like Josh Allen, but I want to move on here, if that's okay.
Yep.
Does anyone want to take it away here with our next topic?
Running backs. Running backs. Oh boy.
What a mess,
Honestly,
man.
honestly, people are always saying Lamar Jackson is a running back, but I'm going to be honest with you. Josh Allen is the best running back. If he played running back, he might be the best running back on that roster right now.
No way.
Because he's that Josh Allen's a really good runner, but I mean LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore are both old. I mean Frank Gore still got some in the tank. LaShawn McCoy still has a little bit in the tank, but how long can they keep it up? Yeldon, I mean he's always that journeyman. Maybe he'll catch the ball quite a bit, but
Journeyman.
I don't know.
Journey,
But
man.
He just changed his first team, man. He's very young. And
I
I would
see that.
actually buy Yeldon
Oh,
because
that's right. He
Oh,
in
was
I
with
love
the
PPR.
Yeldon.
Jaguars until then. Yeah,
In
you're right.
PPR.
Yeldon's
But
the one I'm buying. I'd rather have Yeldon than Singletary.
Yeah, I'll also buy
I'd rather have
Singletary.
Singletary because I think after this season, McCoy and Gore will either one of them will be gone or both will be gone, and the other one, if they aren't both gone, will be more the backup. I think Singletary has the most talent in that backfield, the most highest potential, and I think he could end up taking over that backfield next season.
So
So that's
to
just why I'm buying
the
him.
listeners, if you can buy Singletary, buy them right now because his price is going to go up and up from here on. It's
Right.
not going to go down. And Yeldon too. I mean, before the training camp begins, before the preseason begins, I think if you can buy Yeldon cheap, you should.
Yeldon's
Um,
pretty solid. I think
and
Yeldon will produce this year. Singletary from then on, if
next,
he can prove he's good.
yeah. And McCoy, if you are a contender, if you can get him for a late third or a early fourth, which you can, because some people just don't like him at all. If you can get him because even if he is not on the Bills, he might go to the Eagles and get some. He's a good pass catcher, so he can be a journeyman, like Trenton said, and be in then for the next 2 3 years he can be different teams and just do the pass catching.
If he goes to a team like Tampa Bay too, but his value's gone up, so maybe that's someone I need to look into buying because
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
really good point. Because they signed Frank Gore and TJ Yeldon, that really means McCoy would be that candidate to be cut with the money he's making as well.
And he's 30 years old. We have seen like running backs play till 33, 34, and he's a pass catcher. He's not just a runner. So I think he's a good target to buy if you can right now.
I'm gonna try to buy him right after this podcast, and I recommend our viewers to do the same.
Good. Uh, let's move on to the wide receivers, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's names there. I wrote down Robert Foster, but John Brown, Cole Beasley, some older names. John Brown was solid when Flacco was in. Foster blew up towards the end of the year. Cole Beasley thinks he's good, but he's not. I'm kind of fading. Robert Foster is the most young upside, though. Zay Jones is another name, but I prefer Foster's ADP, excuse me.
What's their ADP? What's Foster's and what's Jay Jones?
I don't remember.
But do you think Jay Jones is going earlier than Foster?
I can
He
pull
might,
this up.
pull him up. He might even be going later, but my point is we've seen more from Foster. I think Foster's the better value than
No, no.
Zay Jones, and
If you
they're
say
close.
value, if you say value, then it always ties into the ADP. If you
Yeah,
are saying straight up, would you take Foster over Jones?
yeah.
Okay, straight up, I would take Jones over Foster because Foster had the competition. I mean, Foster did not have any competition last year, but John Brown and Foster are the same players. So I mean, is Foster going to get so many deep targets now? I'm not
Yes.
sure. I mean, I might be totally wrong, but I would rather have Zay Jones than Foster
Yeah, but
personally.
that's what Josh Allen likes to do: throw bombs down. And Robert Foster is a young John Brown. That's his ceiling, or one of his ceilings potentially. And Robert Foster, he was a really talented guy coming into high school. Fell off at college at Alabama, which is a little bit excusable because of Alabama's talent. And so he's talented. That's my point with Robert Foster. I think he's the most talented guy with the highest ceiling. And at his ADP, I'm smashing that. Zay Jones, he's been in the league longer. I've kind of seen more of it. I think he's a worse fit than Robert Foster.
Okay, sounds good.
Here I almost had it. Zay Jones versus Robert Foster. Yeah, neither of them are in the top 50. If you go even further down,
Who do you rather have straight up, Trenton? Would you rather have Foster or Jones?
it's close. I might go Foster, but I don't know. It's close.
Attaboy.
Currently Foster is honestly Foster's ranked higher. He's at wide receiver 65, and Zay Jones is wide receiver 82.
I still rather have Foster. I just think Zay Jones is a boss. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but
It's
Another
very murky group, man. Anyone can be wrong. Everyone has different take.
no, I'm always right. 100% right.
Another guy that I'm interested by though in the Buffalo wide receiver group is Isaiah McKenzie. He's a
Who?
real deep sleeper, but he's really really good at after the catch, all that stuff. I think he has the potential to if he moves up that depth chart, he has the potential to put up some decent numbers for you. So, I don't know. He's a
I
deep
don't think
sleeper for me.
he'll even get a chance, man. Last year they did not have any wide receiver, but they added Beasley and John Brown. I think Beasley will be a lock to play the slot, or Zay Jones. I'm not sure. So it's murky wide receiver group.
Yeah, so Matt, I have a question for you though,
Sure.
quickly. Well, what do you have like more faith in? Do you think Trenton will win one of his leagues this year, or do you think a Buffalo wide receiver will finish in the top 36? Which one do you have more faith in?
That's a tough question.
Ow! I'm sitting right here.
Trenton winning the league
No way, dude.
because I like one of his teams a lot. Anyways, let's move on
Hold
to
on.
that.
Yeah,
No
let's
one
move
wants
on
to
to
know
our
your
last.
personal. No one
I'm
wants to
in
know your
12
personal
leagues
leagues.
so far, so there's a good chance I win at least one of them.
Let's hope. Just throwing a little shade here before we talk about Dawson Knox. I have a story about Dawson Knox, if we don't mind.
Please.
So Dawson Knox was a guy in my main league. I consider my main free-to-play league. A guy I blew about 12 out of my 100 fab on. I think it was actually 11. 11 out of my 100 fab on for the entire season. So I blew 10% of my fab for the entire season on Dawson Knox right after our rookie draft. And I don't know if you guys have heard the Dawson Knox rumblings, but he may be their starting tight end day one with elite athleticism. Incredible athlete. We can contextualize his poor college production, but the fact that they didn't have 1, 2, 3, they had 3 wide receivers at Ole Miss who are NFL caliber. So that explains the production. I like Dawson Knox. I don't know how much you guys are into him, but I really am grateful I spent that fab for a guy that could potentially have gone in the 3rd round now in rookie drafts. That was just undrafted in a 4th round draft.
Yeah, I have bought Dawson Knox in all the leagues that I am in, paid ones. I did spend some fab on him, and just because I read a lot about him, I haven't watched his film or anything, but I've heard that he's an athlete. Now they're saying that he might be. Of course, I am buying Knox wherever I can. But if his ADP blows up, or if his value goes up, I'm also selling.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
agree. If if at his current value, like I think you can get him like in the 3rd or 4th round of your rookie draft. In a lot of drafts I'm looking at, that's where he's going. And I think that's a fantastic value because you could get a team starting tight end that late in a rookie draft, and it's just I love it, and I think he has that sky high potential, like you said, Dylan. It's yeah.
Definitely a name. And Josh Allen liked this tight end at Wyoming, I believe he went to college at. So we already have seen Josh Allen like tight ends before. Maybe that translates with a weak wide receiver core. I
Maybe,
want to
yeah.
open up. Yeah. Can we open up the floor here? I don't know if we have any sleepers for the Bills or Any
Top.
players we missed or anything else? Do we have anything else we want to talk about? I don't know.
I don't
Not for
think so. We
me.
have covered everyone. Probably maybe if you want to go back and talk about some Patriots wide
Oh,
receiver three, because Edelman and Harry, if you think, are the two wide receivers. Who's the third wide receiver? Because there are choices there. Some people are saying Inman will be the third. Some people are saying Dorset will be the third. Barrios is another name that you put up. So who is the third wide receiver that has the chance to put up numbers there?
Do we want my opinion or open the floor to everybody? Because I know a lot about Patriots training camp, and you said none of the right names.
What's the right name?
Maurice Harris is the correct name. He's been having a really, really, really good camp. I mean, this
Oh,
is a guy. Remember him on the Redskins before he got injured? I think he posted like 10 catches, like a ton of yards. I think over like 100 plus yards or something crazy. Really bad quarterback play. He was really solid in Washington. Just Washington wasn't good last year, especially after Alex Smith went down with a gruesome injury. Maurice Harris has been the best wide receiver at camp so far. And if Josh Gordon isn't back, which is another name I could say who's the Patriots wide receiver 3, Maurice Harris is going to take that job. I like Braxton Berrios because I think he replaces Edelman. He's the best candidate to do so, and I think he will if they don't draft anybody. So that's who I think. Maurice Harris, definitely another guy I think I own in some leagues that I'd recommend go looking at your waiver wires. If he's there, you buy him
dang!
because
A
that hype's
Patriots
going to
fan,
bring him up.
a Patriots fan got him today in one of our leagues. Oh my God! I should have thought.
Man, if only
You
you
know,
did this earlier. Sorry.
I also have to say though, I mean, a lot of people disagree, but they also have Demarius Thomas. I mean, he's an
Oh my
interesting option
gosh,
for their
they're
wide receiver 3.
stacked. Wow.
Demarius
Demarius
Thomas,
Thomas is your answer, by the way. I
who was
forgot,
a
but Maurice Harris is
fantastic
nice. Yeah.
wide receiver for his entire career, he fell off like for a couple seasons. He still has that ability. He could bounce back and have a good year. And I think that's another guy that you could look at.
Yeah, I think that hype's like calmed down with this Gordon maybe coming back, N'Keal Harry being drafted. Definitely a name to watch out for. I forgot about him because he's been injured, but it seems like he's going to be on the team. They threw a lot of money at him, not a lot of guaranteed money, but a lot of money at him. So it seems like he's not going to be your Eric Decker of this year. Remember Eric Decker and how he retired? Definitely a name to watch out for too. I got him for an early third, I think, in a trade. I did that trade. I got Demarius Thomas on contender before they drafted N'Keal Harry, unfortunately. But definitely a name who has some value. But Josh Gordon could come back and ruin all of this. Maurice Harris, though, I think he's a waiver wire name. I stand by what I said. He definitely fits that number 2 role. Not the most explosive, but definitely someone who could explode off your bench on your fantasy team.
Nice, thank you, man.
Just one more question I have here. I wanted all of us to do this. How do we think this division is going to finish from first to last next year?
Fantasy wise?
No, just real life record wise.
Oh.
If somebody's like making a bet, maybe.
I don't know who will be the top of the division. Not very. Of course, it's Patriots, and then I think second will be Jets, then Bills, and then Dolphins.
I agree with that. That's mine.
Mine is it's the same from at the top and bottom, but I flip the Bills and Jets. I have Pats, Bills, Jets, Dolphins.
Bills are a sleeper team. If Josh Allen performs like we've hyped him up as earlier in the pod, they could be maybe a first playoff
get him
team.
to 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, that's enough for the playoffs potentially in a weaker AFC division.
I know why you flipped them, because you don't believe in Darnold.
Yeah,
that's
Darnold hater. Sam Darnold next answer luck. Just kidding, not anymore.
The
But he
issue
can
is,
be really good.
I think he'll be fine. I just don't. I like the Bills more. I like Josh Allen that much more than than Darnold, and I think the Jets are kind of overrated on defense a little bit. Like everybody's always like, "Oh, their defense is really, really good. Their defense is going to carry them." I don't think it's that as good as people say it is. I think they have a few good players, but overall, as a team standpoint, not as good as people think. And I think overall the Bills just have a little bit more on offense than the Jets do. I mean, sure, the Jets have Lev Bell, but I think the Bills just have more. They have a similar defense, similar offense, and I think Josh Allen just pushes them a little bit over the edge.
Definitely, and probably a bold take compared from what we said. I just think the Jets secondary might be bad minus Jamal Adams and Marcus May, but their line might be a little weak too. They drafted Quinnen Williams. They drafted, I believe, Ja'Kai Polite, who slipped due to character issues. The ceiling is very high for the Jets. Not enough to maybe beat up the Pats, but a team to watch, I think. Do we want to wrap things up here with closing thoughts from myself?
Yes, please.
Cool. Gladly. So I just want to remind everyone to please leave a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcast, iTunes. Leave a like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Good news with that, we have new podcast platforms coming here soon. We're going to start stopping the MP4 files, the videos on the iTunes. We're going to start bringing out MP3s. I'm going to look into it after I come back from vacation. I'm also ordering a Blue Yeti microphone, new microphone. My mic will sound better. To some it's unbearable, to some it's okay, but it's going to be improving. And I have a final announcement here, something very important, I think. We are going to try to start a Patreon soon with some premium content, such as our own rankings, all three of them. They're potentially on a Google spreadsheet for you guys to lay out, see what we think, so you can hold us credible and help you guys dominate your draft.
Great.
Do you guys have anything else to say before I say goodbye to my lovely, lovely, lovely viewers? Our lovely viewers, I should say. I'm sorry.
Listeners, and please like, subscribe, and spread the word. It's really helpful. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us.
Yep. Just thank you all so much for sticking with us. Those that have already with us, thank you for joining us. Those who are new, and we just hope you all stick around and grow with us as we develop and hopefully push towards being one of the better podcasts here in the future.
Yep, I totally
Definitely.
agree with that. And we are not at our best yet, guys. We are just starting. We are young. We have still to learn a lot. Please give us some time.
Time can be given, but we're all out of time here. So thank you guys so much for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day.